to All About Boston. I'm Seth McCoy. Joining me tonight is Priti Rao, Executive Director of the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus. If you are at home and want to call in tonight, the number is 617-708-3290. We're going to be talking about what the MWPC does, the election that just happened, and of course the mayor's race and city council. So welcome to the show. This is the first time I'm having you on, so it's very exciting for me.
Thank you so much for having me here, Seth. I'm so excited to be here.
You're welcome. So for people at home who might not know what MWPC is, tell us what it is in a nutshell.
Yeah, so we are a nonpartisan organization. We were founded in 1971 with the mission of electing more women to public office in Massachusetts and increasing the political participation of women across the state. So we do actually a lot of work. We do a lot of recruitment and training of women candidates. We have programs, our internship programs and young professional programs that are targeted towards getting younger women involved in the political process. We have a political action committee, and we endorse women candidates on the local, state, and federal level. And we do everything it takes to get our women elected. We have an 85% success rate of electing women candidates.
Congratulations.
Across the state. Yes, we're very proud of that. And we do really everything that needs to be done, from direct PAC contributions to fundraising support. We train interns in field and put them on the campaign full-time. We do canvassing and phone banking, finance field, media training. So just about everything.
And for a lot of candidates, that's a welcome relief, because a lot of times, if it's a newer candidate especially, they might be short on staff, short on volunteers, so help from your crew is probably very, very welcomed.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, again, we bring people with expertise to the table also, so we're able to offer those resources. And, you know, I think a lot of endorsements sometimes are sort of in name only. And at the MWPC, we're all about really getting on the ground and helping women get elected. And so that takes a lot of hard work, from, you know, knocking on doors and making phone calls. So that's where our interns and young professionals and volunteers come in, and they really do all the hard work on the ground.
And I want to stress again, it is nonpartisan, so you work with Republicans and Democrats, doesn't matter. You meet with them all.
Yes, we are open to all candidates, no matter their party. We are staunchly pro-choice, so that's definitely our key issue area for us. But we really believe that when it comes to women's equality, party doesn't matter. It's not a partisan issue. And we really, and I find the caucus to be such an inspiring place to work at. At the MWPC, we have Republican board members and Democrats, and we all come together and work together on this mission. So it's a wonderful place.
And I think it's a great mission anyway, to try to get women involved in the process, not only to run, but to also be active behind the scenes and to just get out and vote and be aware of what's happening. It's something I talk about on the show all the time, especially around election time, making sure people are getting out to vote and just exercising that right. It's frustrating to me that we have such low voter turnout, especially in off years or in special elections.
Very difficult.
So the work that you guys do is just so important to making sure that people are engaged and getting women especially more engaged. But I do want to point out that you don't just focus on women, because certainly there are some races where there are no women running.
Right. Yes.
So you also are open to male candidates. So people at home aren't thinking, oh, all they're doing is promoting women.
Well, you know, at the MWPC, we actually only endorse women candidates. So we're all about really getting women into office. But we do recognize that men are allies in that effort. And so we work very closely with men who are in elected office around issues like pay equity and paid family leave and choice. And we also recognize these male allies through our Good Guys Awards and recognizing men who have really come to the table to help us.
Yes, and that's a great event. I've been there for the last 2 years, and you do really open up and honor these men who are out there making sure that the women in there, and we should stress too, it's not just political people. Governor Patrick was given an award this year, but you also have business people who receive awards because they're out there promoting women and the work that women do.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, when we talk about women's equality, it's all about casting a wide net. When you look obviously in government here in Massachusetts, we don't have the numbers that we would want. We make up 52% of the population, only 25% of women in the State House, only 20% of women serve as mayors, and 1/3 of all municipalities in Massachusetts have no women on the governing bodies at all. So when we're looking at women in leadership positions in government, certainly that's an area we care very deeply about. But also in different industries like finance. You don't see oftentimes women in leadership positions, and so it's also opening doors in every industry and bringing women to the table.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about the election that we just had in the First Suffolk, and Linda Dorsina-Forey is now going on to the final. You guys were very involved in her campaign. What were you guys doing on the ground?
Absolutely. So we were so thrilled to endorse Representative Linda Dorsina-Forey in this election. And we actually had worked with her when she was running for state rep previously. And then having her run for state senate is just exactly what we're all about, you know, getting women right up the pipeline and running for higher office. So she's a tremendous candidate and has a track record of public service work and expertise in job creation and community development. So we were so thrilled to support her. And just like I said before, it was a working endorsement. So, you know, with our endorsement came the support of our networks. We were able to provide her a PAC contribution. And then going into a special election, it's all about boots on the ground. It's all about getting out the vote.
Especially in this election because the vote was so close.
So close. And such low turnout too. And I think that's where, you know, I love all of the field work. I started in field, so I love that. That's where I'm from. So we really get on the ground. And so I'm really proud of my team, you know, from our staff to interns to volunteers. We knocked on over 2,000 doors in 4 days. Just the MWPC alone, we called over 1,000 people in a week. And so that's just hours of being on the ground, and we did it. And you know what was so wonderful about working with Rep. Forey is that she was right there knocking with us.
Very true.
Such a hardworking candidate. And I was really excited about this race. You know, I think this district has been traditionally represented by white men coming out of South Boston. And, you know, when we elected a Haitian American woman out of Dorchester.
And there was actually another woman running as well.
There was, yeah.
So, and she was from South Boston.
From South Boston, yes.
That's, you know, virtually unheard of especially for this district. But I mean, it was great to have two women.
Two women. Listen, this is exactly what we're all about, having more women. And so Maureen Dayhill, we actually opened up the endorsement process to her as well. So if there are multiple women running in one race, we will open up the process to any woman who's interested. So we did bring in Maureen, and I thought she was a tremendous candidate and ran a wonderful campaign. So I certainly do hope that she runs again, and you know, and of course we will be with Linda straight through. You know, she's won this primary, but she has to go on to the general on May 28th. So we'll be working hard on that campaign. And folks in the district, I hope they'll go out and vote for her.
And I do also want to, we're talking about the different candidates running, I do want to say that Representative Nick Collins was also, they all ran a great campaigns on their own. None of them got very spiteful towards each other, which sometimes you tend to see in different campaigns. So we applaud all of them for working just for what they should be doing and trying to get elected.
Definitely, and in such a tight race with such close margins, you know, I know Representative Collins and his team were out on the ground working really hard too.
Absolutely. Another exciting thing that's coming up, of course, municipal elections here in the city. We have an unprecedented opening for the mayor of Boston. Mayor Menino obviously has been in office for over 20 years. He is stepping aside. We have one woman who has now announced that she is running, and that's Charlotte Gola-Ritchie. But the list of possible candidates, it's like 20 people right now.
It's huge. It's huge.
So how do you navigate something like that? Obviously, you're promoting women being elected, but in terms of this race where there are so many candidates, how does the MWPC navigate the whole process?
Absolutely. And you know, before I think, first of all, this is such an exciting time to be in Boston. You know, at the mayoral level also, and then looking down at the city council. And even looking at the federal and state races and the special elections, I don't think we've seen a shift like this in a very long time. So this is such an exciting time, and I'm thrilled to be able to be part of it. And before we go into sort of talking about the various candidates, I just wanted to express from the MWPC our heartfelt gratitude and thanks to Mayor Menino for his tremendous leadership here in Boston. I'm not sure, I know folks know about him, but I'm not sure they know how much he's done for women in this city, from appointing women to senior level positions in his administration, to supporting the Boston Women's Commission, to launching the Women's Workforce Council to work on pay equity issues. He's been a real champion for women. And so we will very much miss him and thank him so much for his support and his work for women.
Absolutely.
But now that we're looking at this open seat, you know, the MWPC, like I said, we're very staunchly supportive of women candidates. And I think what was really exciting for me going into this was as soon as the position opened, I'm not sure if you noticed, all the men got in. And
they did.
That happens every time, right? All the men get in. And usually, nobody pays much attention to that. But I noticed this time, I'm not sure if you saw it, that there was so much media and so many articles written about the fact that there were no women. And I think this is amazing. You know, now that we're in 2013, and not having a woman candidate in the mix is seen as something as, you know, why is this happening? And people are asking that, whereas 10 years ago, that would never have happened. And so feel like we've made great strides in that effort. And I think there was a call to action for women to put their names in. And Charlotte Goler-Ritchie, I think, answered that call.
Absolutely.
So we, at this point, the MWPC has not started looking at Boston municipal races. We will be looking at those races within the next couple weeks and issuing endorsements. So at this point, we haven't endorsed any candidates. We are open to any women that are running, and I think Charlotte is a tremendously qualified woman to run for this position. From her, experience as a state rep to working for Mayor Menino on housing and community development, I think she's been on the ground.
Absolutely.
Working with voters and constituents, and she really understands the needs of all of the people in Boston. So I think she'll do a tremendous job.
Yeah. And we also have some exciting news on the city council races. The at-large, Ayanna Pressley is running for re-election. Michelle Wu is running for an at-large seat. Suzanne Lee is running. I'm probably missing some other women who are running.
there are many. It's so good.
I know it's awesome, and then also frustrating for people like me who are like, wait, how do you go through all the names? Because obviously we're only on a half-hour program. So if I was to name everybody who's running for mayor, everybody who's running for city council, whichever at-large or district, we'd have no time to talk.
Right. So I think the at-large seats are very exciting. Certainly now there's so many open positions because so many people are now running for mayor. So this is a great opportunity for women especially to come in and run. So absolutely thrilled that Ayanna Pressley is, of course, running for re-election. We supported Ayanna in her first run. She was actually a board member of the MWPC, so I feel like she's one of ours, one of our own. But, Ayanna, I think, has just really done a tremendous job in this role of redefining what municipal government can be. She sort of launched this campaign about women and girls and being the backbone of our communities and talking about issues like sexual assault, domestic violence, that I feel like not many people associate municipal government with that kind of work. And so she has redefined what you can do in this position, and I think has really pushed the agenda forward. So excited she's running for re-election, and we're certainly looking forward to bringing her in for a re-endorsement, and then hopefully working on her race as well. And then Michelle Wu, who actually is also from the MWPC. She was on our Young Professionals Committee. So we have a great connection with Michelle, and I just love that she's a young woman running for office. I mean, what better inspiration is there than Michelle?
I want to say one of the things that the MWPC talks about is the need for women to cultivate women so they get to the point where they are running. And so Michelle is a great example of someone who was part of MWPC, obviously said, I can do that. Why shouldn't I do that? I'm going to do that, and now is doing it.
Absolutely.
And we talked a little bit earlier about the media now is covering before Charlotte had stepped into the race. Why aren't there any women running? Why do you think that women hold back from running for office?
I think there's several reasons for that. Number one, I think women often underestimate their own qualifications. There's a lot of research that shows that women need to be encouraged to run for office. They need to be asked 7 times by 7 different people. And so I think that's one piece of it. We need to be more encouraging of women and saying that you can do this and you have the qualifications. And I think the second is oftentimes there's a lack of role models. I think we often kind of look at women who have run and may not have been successful the first time around and see it as a very difficult challenge. So when people like Ayanna get elected, and when people like Linda get elected, and hopefully will get elected in the general, it really paves the way. And if you can see somebody who's like you in government, you can think that maybe you can do it too. So I think those are some of the challenges that women face, and we try to address those.
Yeah, and I think it's similar to the work environment where, and especially in politics, and women are in these roles and we're treated differently than men. If I'm in a role and I'm a little tougher and how I would normally go about business, I might be called names because I'm being too forceful.
Exactly.
Whereas a male counterpart could do the same exact thing and he's a strong leader. And I think that's part of it, especially running for office. If you're running for office, everything is out there. So if somebody has something against you that you did, 10, 20, 30 years ago, they're going to try to sneak that in and turn in it. Like one of my favorite movies is The Contender. I don't know if you've seen it,
no,
but it's basically about a president who has to make a vice presidential pick because his vice president has passed away, and he wants to go with a female senator. And then it's the whole process. It's a great movie. But the whole process is about how the opposition tries to paint her as just, you know, a floozy and a this and a that. And there's a situation that comes up and she won't address it because her point is, I wouldn't have to address this if I was a man.
If I was a man, yeah.
So you have to see it.
How many times do we say that? How many times do we see that?
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's certainly a deterrent for women when they start to think about running, is the double standard, and how do you overcome that? And I think the MWPC as an organization can offer support, and we've started to do that. I'm very proud of that positioning that we've taken, where we really defend our women candidates, where we're able to kind of call out circumstances where they may be treated differently, and say, hey, you know what, that's not the right thing. Let's make sure that this is fair. And having an organization, having a group of women stand up and sort of join together, I think is very powerful, because oftentimes it's hard when you're one woman running alone. And so we're able to do that, and I think it's important to have that as well.
And how do you work with younger women? We just talked about Michelle Wu, but how do you encourage younger women in college who might be becoming politically active? They might be interns of yours, they might be interns somewhere else. What's the best way to cultivate those women into future candidates?
Absolutely. You know, I have a very near and dear place in my heart for cultivating and mentoring young women. I was an intern with the MWPC at first. I was one of their first interns. And it was the women on the board that saw something in me and gave me a chance. And so here I sit now, and I'm able to do the work that I love every day. So it's definitely something I'm very passionate about, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done to build up that internship program. So we take on interns every semester. We have a lot of fun in the office. We take on almost 15 interns, 10 to 15 interns a semester, and Jessica Gibbons out of my office runs this program brilliantly. And what we do is train these interns on running campaigns and nonprofit work, and then we put them directly on campaigns. So what better way to get involved than see it? And actually, more often than not, our interns even get hired full-time onto the campaigns once their internships are done. So that's one program that we've launched that we're very proud of, that I think is doing great work, both in getting women elected, but also promoting the participation of women at a young age in the political process. The second program that we launched is called our Young Professionals Program. And this is really catered also to college, but you know, women who have graduated and are now young professionals in the workforce in Boston. We've cast a wide net, so we get women from all different industries and areas, and we do skill set and like training. You know, how to manage your finances, PR 101, how to get a job, how to market yourself and build your brand. And through that we talk about political participation and civic engagement. And my associate director, Samantha Washburn-Baroni, runs that program out of our office very well. So there are a lot of different ways to get involved. And like I say, we place a very high premium on networking and having fun and supporting each other. And that's what we do at the MWPC.
So how do we get people to go out to the polls and vote? This is the million-dollar question. We need people to be voting all the time, special elections, off years, what have you.
That is the million-dollar question. I mean, you know, I understand the voter fatigue a little bit in Massachusetts. You know, I feel like, I'm sure everybody feels like this. There seems to be an election happening every other day.
I know, it's
almost every other day. And then this next year, it may actually be every other week. I can barely keep up. And so, I understand that, but then I think the flip side of that is there are very few moments in politics and in history where you see this level of turnover. It's really unreal. If you were ever going to vote, this is the time to vote, because there's so much change. We are on the precipice of change in Boston and in Massachusetts. And so I think part of it is engaging people and encouraging people and knocking on doors and doing that groundwork and, you know, getting on the phone.
And for a lot of Bostonians, especially the younger generation, this is, I mean, they've grown up with Mayor Menino as the mayor.
Absolutely.
So this is, you know, it's an exciting time, and it's a time really to get involved with candidates who you might be able to build a relationship with. So if you actually see things that you want to have changed, you might, if you're volunteering on a campaign or you're just active in however way you can, you might have that entree to say, hey, you know, this is what I'm thinking about, and you never know, the mayor could decide this is a great idea, you know, could lead you into a job, whatever it is. But it's definitely a pet peeve of mine that the voter turnout is so low in the city.
Yeah, it's very high, and especially with younger people too. And I always say campaigns are the best way to push an agenda forward and to meet people. I met some of the most brilliant people who have been my mentors on campaigns. And I still remember the first campaign I worked on as an intern was Congresswoman Nikki Songas's, her first in the special election. And I don't kid you not, I was an intern, nobody knew me. And I was in the back making phone calls, and Senator John Kerry walked in and literally sat down next to me. And that was my day. And you know, there he is.
Exactly.
And that happens on a campaign. I don't know anywhere else that you could just be sitting and working one day and John Kerry walks in the door, you know?
Exactly, and I think during the last presidential, we definitely saw pictures where the candidates or the president would walk into a call center and, you know, his volunteers are working, and then all of a sudden there's the president sitting next to you, or there's Mitt Romney sitting next to you. I think I would probably freak out if either one of them was sitting
grab
next
your
to
iPhone,
me.
I gotta take a photo
Exactly.
of this.
Do a quick thing. But we also have a lot of college students who help out on this show. So,
wonderful.
Yeah, so I always harass them after the shows to make sure that they vote, or if they're registered here. We had Councillor Consalvo here last week, and that was definitely the question after the fact, was how many of them live here in the city, if they vote. And I ask everybody that, so it's probably a little annoying to people. But
no, you're doing your part in the whole, you know, in the mission, in the advocacy, you're doing your part.
Yes,
which is
absolutely. What, if people at home wanted to get involved with MWPC, how do they do it?
Many ways to get involved. So I encourage everybody to go online and check out our website, www.mwpc.org. And we have multiple ways of getting involved. There are programs we launch throughout the year, our Commonwealth Commentary Networking Series. We have our two major events, our Good Guys Awards and Abigail Adams Awards, and then sort of campaign trainings and more casual networking events throughout the year. So I encourage people to go online. Please come to our upcoming events. You can join as a member of the MWPC and have access to all of our programs and our trainings, and also sort of newsletters and inside information. So I encourage people to go and please become a member and support the MWPC. And then if you're interested in an internship in our office, or to be part of the Young Professionals program, you know, we're always available, and give us a call.
And it's really a great way to network. And I know you've talked about that already, but just to stress that again, people need to be networking more, whether they're male or female, but especially women. So it is a great opportunity to network with a lot of important people in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, people we've elected to our board members who are very influential women in multiple different industries, to our young professionals who are also, you know, able to connect people to potential job opportunities and other, you know, career development opportunities. So it's just a great sort of melting pot of different folks, and we have a lot of fun together. We support each other, and we have a great environment.
Exactly. So I want to thank you so much for being here today. It's been really great talking about the elections and upcoming things and what the MWPC does. And I'm just honored that you came here tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
And thank you, everybody at home, for tuning in. Thanks to the crew behind the scenes. And we will see you next time.